on fracking!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
A ban on fracking!
When do we want it?
Now!
On behalf of the 1 million members of Environmental Action, members of Honor the Earth, Climate Hawks Vote, Food and Water Watch, Move On, and 350.org, we're here to deliver a simple message to the Democratic National Committee. Don't frack this up. Now, across the country, we're seeing more and more people standing up to the insanity of fracking, from New York and Massachusetts to Virginia to California to Florida and on sovereign indigenous land from coast to coast. The people are literally putting their bodies, their safety, and their lives at risk to prevent the expansion of fracking and frack gas infrastructure. The people are doing this because they understand, as millions of others do, that fracking and natural gas are not short-term solutions for climate change, they are agents of climate change. And just like climate change, fracking and frack gas infrastructure disproportionately impacts communities of color, including indigenous communities, first and worst. In states across the country, the trend is clear. The blacker and browner you are, the less wealth your community commands, the more chance there is that you're going to live or go to school near fracking wells, infrastructure, and fracking waste. Fracking represents one of the most profound demonstrations of environmental racism and injustice in the United States. If you continue, DNC, to allow our communities to be sacrifice zones, then you better be prepared to sacrifice our votes and our support at the same time. So we've drawn a line in the sand, and the DNC must decide right now which side of the line that they're on. Will you stand with us? Will you stand with citizens like Courtney Williams and the coalition resisting the Spectra AIM pipeline in New York? Will you stand with clergy members, the Rebel Alliance, and the hashtag Stand With Mary movement in West Roxbury, Massachusetts? Will you stand with Native warriors like Betty Osceola and others in Florida fighting to protect the Everglades from being poisoned and irreparably tainted by fracking? And will you stand with the majority of U.S. citizens, 51%, Republicans and Democrats, who oppose fracking, or will you stand with the fossil fuel industry? There's a difference between acknowledging climate change and acting on climate change. Rejecting an all-of-the-above strategy when it comes to energy production is part of acting on climate. It also means rejecting the feckless notion that natural gas is a bridge fuel from coal. DNC, you accuse the Republicans of being climate deniers. But by allowing fracking to continue, you are also denying the science of climate change. Because we all know that methane gas is 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide and accounts for 1/4 of human-engendered global warming emissions. When we can no longer tell the difference between our adversaries and our allies, when we feel that we must fight the system as well as the system that's supposed to be fighting the system, that is an equation that yields direct action. We have shut down fossil fuel operations and infrastructure, and if necessary, we will do the same thing to political establishments. The DNC is on notice, and we demand that you take notice and include a national fracking ban in your party platform immediately for the climate, for the planet, for the people, and for our future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emily Worth. I'm the Water Program Director of Food and Water Watch, and we're here today to deliver more than 50,000 petitions on behalf of all of these organizations to the Democratic Party Platform Committee, who are meeting right here today behind us to demand that they ban fracking is included in the party platform. At Food and Water Watch, we've been working for years in coalitions with grassroots groups across the country who are trying to stop drilling and fracking, the pipelines, compressor stations, LNG export facilities, frack sand mine, and oil trains that go along with fracking. And what we've seen in community after community is elected officials from both political parties stand with the oil and gas industry and their desire to profit off of the extraction and burning of fossil fuels, and not with the people who have been harmed by fracking, the people whose air and water have been polluted, whose health have been harmed, whose home properties have been devalued, and whose quality of life has been destroyed by this industry. The Democratic Party has been complicit in this U.S. fracking move and at times has supported it, and their current platform makes that perfectly clear. They support an all-of-the-above energy strategy which promotes drilling and fracking, and the build out of billions of dollars of infrastructure that will lock us into fossil fuel energy future. But what we know is that a majority of Americans and a very overwhelming majority of Democrats are opposed to fracking now. And it's past time that the Democratic Party heed the calls of this growing and powerful movement to ban fracking and keep fossil fuels in the ground. It is urgent that we act quickly to address the threat of climate change, and climate scientists agree that any serious plan to act on climate must include keeping fossil fuels in the ground and transitioning quickly to a renewable energy future and energy efficiency. And I want to say today that we are not going to stop here today in delivering this message to the DNC. We are working with more than 400 organizations from across the country to organize a march in Philadelphia on July 24th, which is the day before the Democratic National Convention begins. And there will be a march for a clean energy revolution where thousands of Americans from across the country will march through the streets, and there will be demanding a ban on fracking, to keep fossil fuels in the ground, to stop all dirty energy, including nuclear, biomass, and the incinerators that are polluting our urban communities. And we're demanding environmental justice for all and a quick transition and a just transition to a renewable energy future. So thank you so much. And I guess next is Brad Johnson.
Hi, I'm the Executive Director of Climate Hawks Vote. Our mission is to support and hold accountable climate champions at all levels of office. And we're very proud to be part of this coalition that's delivering now in the last day. I have them here in my hand, over 95,000 signatures. And every day it's continuing to grow. And to deliver here at the Democratic Party Platform Committee, their first hearing, we've submitted our testimony and we've applied to testify in person, and we're hoping that they'll reach out and listen to our voice directly. And if we don't do it this week, we'll do it next week, and the next week, and the next week, all the way to the convention in Philadelphia, where Climate Hawks Vote is very excited to be part of this clean energy march.
Hi, my name's Bonomo. I am a student at American University, and I'm here today to demand better from the DNC. For years, the Democratic Party has been thought of as the party with science on its side, the party that will lead us into a clean energy future. And that's why I and many other young voters like me registered Democratic when we were able to register to vote. But as long as the DNC keeps fracking on its platform, the Democratic Party does not deserve its reputation as a force for progressive change. And it doesn't deserve the votes of the young people who will be left to deal with the disastrous consequences of fracking and who are currently dealing with these consequences today. Scientists have spoken, frontline communities have spoken, the youth is speaking. Young voters are the heart of the electorate, and we are demanding real climate leadership. The DNC must stand with those it claims to represent, instead of continuing to cater to the fossil fuel industry and to the banks that fund it, and end the Democratic Party's embarrassing pro-fracking policy today. Ending this outdated and deadly practice is a necessary step in ending the current energy economy that prioritizes profits for the few over the health and safety of the many, and finally moving toward a sustainable, long-term energy plan that benefits everyone. Thanks.
Good morning. How are all y'all? My name is Hauschka. I'm the National Campaigns Director for Honor the Earth. Hello. And I'm here on behalf of an Indigenous-led organization and, trying to represent the Indigenous voice, which is on the front lines of the extractive industry in pretty much every situation you can imagine. Hydraulic fracturing is something that has deeply impacted our people. The Bakken is one of the biggest sites in this country, and it's one that has completely affected the communities surrounding that area in a very, very negative way. The first climate change refugees are actually Indigenous peoples down the front lines, and in Louisiana and Alaska, we know, and we've known for a very long time, that climate change is happening, climate change is real. They are our first climate refugees, but they will not be the last if we continue along the path that we're going on. And fracking is definitely contributing to this overall situation. It is not a bridge fuel. It is not, natural gas is not going to move us into the green economy that we need to be in. We need to do something now. That we are past the point of talking about these issues. Climate change is a real thing. It is happening. It is hurting our people. It is hurting us all. It's not not just an indigenous issue, this is a people issue. This is about survival, this is about our future generations, making it into the next generation. This is about our children and our children's children, having clean drinking water, having a place to, having clean drinking water, having communities that are actually above sea level. This is happening and it needs to be addressed. And as voters, we demand that our DNC actually responds to this. Natural gas is not a solution. That is not going to address this issue. We cannot continue fracking while saying at the same time we're about the environment. If this party is truly about the environment, it's truly about young voters, and truly about representing us all, then it needs to do what's right and not do what's most profitable and what's lining their pockets. We call on the DNC, include an anti-fracking ban in your platform. It needs to happen. It needs to happen now. This is an issue that's happening now, today. Good to be here.